Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Future Friday, we're going to talk about fixing global warming gradually, part 2, food. First part we focused on water. So what's the logic of this whole series? Well, reality is global warming is real, it's here. At this point in time, if you have doubt about it, I'm sorry, flat out, like it's here, it's real. Now, it will take time to solve it. This is one of the things people are saying, like those people who are like going all outers, like, this is, we have 10 years, 20 years. No, it does not matter. Like, even if that statement would be true, saying it is pointless, or at best it's pointless, as worse it's harmful. So you have to understand, you have to come at this problem with a bit of maturity. That's going to take time. No matter what you do, it's going to take time. And the difficult part is that it's going to need multi-prong attack vector, meaning we have to go from all sides. Food, water, air, everything that we have to deal with, we have to deal with that. We cannot expect first like fusion, problem solved. That's not how it works. So realistically, it's going to require a lot of elbow grease and a lot of directionality. And we really need to let go of this magic bullet idea. Flat out, this is the first line. We have to let go of this magic. Like, what if we had this? It will solve our problem. That's not how it works. Like, you have to understand this. Like, you have to let go of that magic silver bullet solution. And do we have tools to solve it? Like, what about the tools that we have right now? Thankfully, hilariously, yes, we have all the tools, every single tool that we have. But many times people ignore those sort of tools simply because those tools are not perfect. Now you have to understand it. This is another maturity aspect that you have to leap of faith, so to say, is that global warming bad. What we are saying is less bad. It's not zero. Let that be very clear. But many times, many good technologies get kicked out simply because people are like, no, I want zero. It's like nothing will happen if you try to go to zero directly. You take here, you come here, then you go to zero. You have to accept it. At this point in time, enough science has been collected, enough data has been collected where it's like, dude, every time people try to go to zero directly, it backfires and we end up exactly where we were. If we had start to go step down, okay, cool. And would it have some consequences? Absolutely. But would it be less consequences compared to letting global warming run away? Absolutely. So that's the whole point. Think in that context. Is it better than roasting the whole biosphere? Yes, do it. Now, it will give us time. That's the whole point. If we truly do all the tools that are in our toolkit at this point in time, we will solve global warming flat out. We will solve it. It's not like some magical thing and all that. And what about why engineers saying they are working on this, or scientists and all that? They know better than me. I'm going to give you 10 tools. They're like, we have 50 more tools to do that. It's just that humans have that magical bullet idea. It's like, what if we do this? It's like, what we have right now, it's more than sufficient. If we start to go from 100 to 50, now we have buffer of 50. Now we can spend that time. Right now we are directly trying to go to from 100 to 0. We are losing time and we no longer have any to, if we are not doing the things that we could have done. It's like the longest journey starts with a single step. It's one of those things. And all tools that I'm talking about in my series, so to say, are in deployment phase. What does that mean? That simply means it's no longer a lab, no longer a theory. It's something that is here, it's real, and people are using it. Of course, the deployment scale is small. For example, if we need 100,000, we have 1,000. That's the issue right now, but not that, oh, we don't know or it does not work. No, we got that. That part is sorted. That's done. So today's series is focused on food. Why? If you go into Google Map, click terrain view, you will see green parts anywhere in any country, be it India, be it China, be it USA. You will see green patches. You may be like, awesome, we have greenery. Zoom in, it's just farmland. It does not matter where you're looking. You look in Ukraine, you look in Russia, green patch generally is this. So this is a surprisingly large amount of Earth's surface area is farmland. Surprisingly large, like, oh, kind of large. Like, this is our biggest impact, not cities and all that. This puppy is the biggest impact. So we really need to take care of this puppy, and this puppy will take care of us. So first tool in our tool set, so to say, for that food ecosystem is no-till farming. No-till farming is basically the idea, thou shall not destroy the top layer of soil. Now, unfortunately, we humans knew this, forgot this, and started to do dumb things like, this is soil, bam! We did this. Every time we did this, we are basically leaching things away. And over time, again, because there was enough of a reservoir, so to say, of nutrition and biolife that it survived. We could do that for almost a century, so to say. And then we randomly, it's like, why we can't grow crops? Because we were destroying it. So first thing we have to learn, thou shall not destroy the top layer of basically soil. Now, what is the benefit of that? Benefit is Microbiome, basically there is a whole ecosystem of microbial life, and this is another aspect. Like, we were so unbalanced from understanding of how nature works. We are like, what if we only had this one thing? Nature never works that way. Nature always hates monotone, always. Like, if there is one thing that nature hates, is monotone. You always have to have a whole ecosystem, and that ecosystem balances itself out. So because we unbalanced it, then we are like, oh, it's only bad because we unbalanced it, and now we are like brute forcing it. It's like, no, we're gonna sterilize it more and more, and only bad wins. It's almost like how when you take antibiotics, there is a very good chance that you may have seriously weak digestion after, like, you have run through like whole system, medical steps, so to say. And again, the reason is very obvious. It booms your whole gut biome, so to say. Of course, it booms the bad part also, but it also booms the good part. So same thing we did here. So in terms of sterilizing the soil, we inherently are not farming anymore. What we are doing is hydroponics with extra steps. So this is a very real thing. We learned it the hard way, so to say. And humus turns to sand if we keep doing this. Every time we do this, the humus layer, the basically lifeblood of soil itself, turns to sand. Like, soil is supposed to look as close to black as possible. It looks as close to brown as possible. Why? Because humus is no longer there. And whenever you look around and you're like, you have flood footage, ever seen a flood footage, especially if it's going through an agriculture area, you will see it's brown. Why the heck is brown? It's literally leaching whatever is remaining of humus because we destroyed it. So it's one of those things. And is there a benefit for investing in these sort of new tools, so to say? And it's available everywhere. This is India, this is USA, whatever have you. Everywhere in the world, it's available. Any country that has a bit of brain and bit of agriculture department would be flat out working their ass off to get this sort of tool in the market. But why? It saves water. Water requirement goes down drastically, like drastically. So if you have a canal system feeding a whole, let's say, a bread basket, so to say, that canal requirement will go down. That's how big impact it has. So if you have hundreds of farmers using this, hundreds of farmers not using this, you'll be like, bro, that's a night and day difference in terms of water consumption. And this is another way. Like, how do you take care of water? You use less of it. So this is first tool. Be mindful. This on its own will not do everything. This is just first line of defense. So this is the first thing. And what about, how do you terminate the past crop, so to say? You crimp it. The crimp is done by a roller. Roller has blades, and blades are not sharp blade, quote unquote. Of course, they have a triangular edge, but it's supposed to crimp using the weight. So it crimps it, and this becomes the biomat for next cycle. Then it becomes biomat for cycle below that. Below that, it's like keeps going down, year over year over year, and your humus layer keeps getting healthier and healthier and healthier. So this is the first thing that we have to do. Then many people will complain, oh, we did that, it backfired. Of course it backfired, because most time people don't do cover crops. Now, cover crops is one of the wisdom that we have learned recently, is that naked soil equals dead soil or dying soil. Thou shall never, ever, under no circumstances, have a position where you can see the soil. This should not happen. Like, this is equals nope. There is no discussion, there is no some consensus is out, or like where people are debating. No, it's done. So you can see the soil equals dead. How dead? That's a different thing. For example, you go to any forest, take any forest anywhere in the world, you will be very hard pressed to find actual soil. Like, you will always see leaf, dead matter. No matter what you will see, even I'm like thick leaf is there, like thick, very thick forest cover is there, but still would be something on the soil. Soil will never be naked. And when we talk about, like, we have weeds growing over, weed is basically nature's way of covering a wound. That's why they are so aggressive. That's why they come out so randomly. It's like, because what's supposed to be there, it's no longer there. So it no longer has a competition. So whichever species is like the quickest, it just takes over. Basically, it's a problem of our own making. It's supposed to have this, not this. Now we have learned this, like, thankfully we have learned this. Now, when do you plant this quote unquote cover crops? Well, ideally, in easiest way, like step one way is basically you plant it between cash crops. So you have one cash crop, another cash crop, there will be a gap. In that gap, you shall never have naked soil. You put cover crops. Now, cover crops have huge diversity. Like, there is a whole PhD thesis on that, like how much cover crops. And anyone who is doing PhD thesis, they will only focus on one region, so to say. Every region has thousands of cover crop options. Like, you will like, oh dude, we have too much sun surface temperature and too much, like, heat, too very little water. There is a cover crop fine-tuned for that. Nature has a tool specifically built for that. You're like, dude, we are in a place where it has so lot of snowstorm. Nature is like, bro, we got this. You're like, dude, lot of rain. Nature is like, bro, we got this. We have it. We know this. We have cataloged this. And sometimes, many times, like, this is the final stage, is that you're going to have cover crops and cash crops at the same time. So basically, you will have one thing and cover crops will be there, just packing. And this reduces what we call solar cooking. Sunlight shall not reach soil. No matter what happens, sunlight should never reach the soil. It is the second line of defense. It helps biosphere to actually grow. Rather than being terminated, it actually grows. It has a safe environment, so to say. And it also prevents weed growth. This is the biggest issue that every farmer has, like, there's so much weed is happening because you have naked soil. It's like you have a cut on your skin tries to heal itself, right? That's the whole point. That's why we have platelets and all that jazz, whole ecosystem. Nature also has something similar. It's trying to heal itself. We just have to make sure it heals it according to our needs. We want crops. Nature is like, bro, I don't care. Just cover the damn thing. So it prevents that. Now here's the most awesome aspect of it. If you do this cover crop wise, it also retains your soil. The first humus layer, the 1-inch layer of soil, survives rain, flash flooding, basically ice storm, whatever have you, it survives all of it. And it will survive so much better. You're like, whoa. And be mindful, this is being experimented in China, in India, and other hotter places of USA also. And the outcome is shocking. Like the temperature that will roast other plants will be like a place that has been done cover crops, not the first cover crop. First cover crop is almost useless. You have to have like 2, 3, 4, 5, like generations of it has to go by. Generation as in like few years. And then it's like the soil is so healthy that even a heat wave is like, plants are like, of course, they reduce the yield, but they do not go poof. And again, random flash flooding. Flash flooding destroys so much crop. This puppy is like, bro, I get this. Oh, another benefit. Cover crops are fine-tuned for what you need. For example, if you are like, hey, I run super heavy trucks. I did destructively I farmed it. So consequently, your soil will not be soil. It will be concrete. It will be like compacted soil. That's very bad. So how do you fix it? Cover crops, there are ecosystem where you will select, go to someone, it's like, hey, tell me. So they're like, what do you need? I need roots that go deep. There are cover crops that have very deep roots. You plant them. Of course, they will not, regenerate your soil in one generation. But one time, little bit better. 2 times, bit more better. 3rd times, now it's like, okay, now there's like till you can put your hand almost 1 foot down. So it's like, good. Then you will have other microbial life there. Awesome. Other carbon bonding structures. Awesome. Then next time you're like, hey, I think I'm consuming too much nitrogen. Nitrogen fixing system. There is a cover crop for that. You put that. Good. You literally have a checklist where it's like, okay, I'm a bit low on this, I'm a bit low on that. I'm like, you can keep using cover crops to fix it. That's how nature does it. So it has sufficient option for everything. Like you can, in case of India, you can just go to Krishi Vigyan Kendra and you will just like, bro, location. Of course, that they will know the location. It's like, this is the location, what kind of options we have. Every country that has a brain is doing this. We just have to make sure both of them are done together. Basically, no-till farming and cover crops. So why the heck we want to go through all this relearning rather than like, bam, whoosh, to like actually what is the benefit? What's the end game? End game is healthy soil. Now, soil is the key to Earth's biosphere. Soil, flat out, it's the most important thing out there. And what is the key of the key itself? Well, it's the mycelium network. Now, to give you a context of it, how dumb we were as a human, our ancestors, as in like as far back as in Chinese mythology, as far back as in Indian mythology, as far back as in African mythologies, we knew this. We figured it out. By trial and error, we figured it out that soil has an ecosystem and we just forgot it. Like for short-term gain, we forgot it because there was soil was so rich that we keep doing it. We kept doing it for 100 years and then we're like, the safety deposit basically ran out and then we were like, oops. And now we do not even know how the heck people used to farm. So mycelium network, like to give you a context how recent this discovery is, you will be hard pressed to find books that go before 2010. Like this is not a common science book thing anymore. Like it's so recent. It's so recent that there was a TV show, Cosmos, season 2, Neil deGrasse Tyson one, and he was talking about like, we just discovered this. This is new thing. Like, of course, we knew like there is something like that, some mushrooms, some things, we knew that. But the whole extent of it, what it does, how awesome it is, we are like, holy damn. Like, think about it. Our crops are so fragile. We have one insect, bam, done. We have, heat flux, bam, done. Everything just bams it. And when you have forest, it burns. It can burn annually and forest is like, we're good, bro. We got this. How? We are not going there. We are not maintaining it. It's like, how the heck it's doing that? The maintenance is happening with this puppy, mycelium network. Because we did not understand it, we terminated this without thinking about it, what we are terminating. So, and this is another aspect. This is the Well, transfer circuit that transfers water, nitrogen, carbon. Now you're like, how does it transfer it? This is what freaked researchers out. They thought like, it could be a balancing equalizer. Basically, oh, you have carbon here, let's distribute it. No, 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 no. This puppy is sentient in terms of its logic algorithm. Basically, it's almost like a earthworm, so to say. So they put radioactive carbon in one spot and starved a plant of carbon. It literally find a root there. Basically, when this sort of observation has been done, it freaked people out. Like, wait a minute, you are saying it figures out where the plant is, where the box is, it will create a route there and then transfer it there. Yes, and you will like, if it is an ecosystem, that means there must be two things that are going. One is coming inwards, one is going outwards. So outwards, we know, water, nitrogen, carbon, all other minerals, those are outwards. So what is this puppy is consuming? Sugar. Plant always makes surplus of sugar. That sugar is supposed to be used for this puppy. Basically, it's a symbiotic relationship. Sugar comes in, nutrition goes out. And there is a whole ecosystem. Basically, they did this, and it's like there are some microscopic footage of it, like how the things are traveling. It's freaky. It's like it will freak you out. Wait a minute, this is a whole organic. Basically, it's almost swarm kind of logic is there. So it's there. Like we did it. We did the testing and we freaked out. It's like, whoa, this is the reason why forest can survive. This is the reason when our ancestors knew this, they were just planting crops. Like, not an issue. They did not need fertilizer. Like, think about this way. How many people say, we need nitrogen, otherwise we will not be able to, plant crops. This is the reason why we need nitrogen from outside. We can have much higher density of crops than we will ever get from fertilizer without actually requiring fertilizer. We just forgot that we're supposed to have the cover crops fixing nitrogen. It's supposed to have this ecosystem to balance everything out. We no longer have the balancing agent. Now, that's just the resources part. Here's the interesting part. This is the first line of defense against diseases, pest infestation, or everything basically. What does that mean? That simply means whenever you have a crop field, let's say a giant field, one plant gets affected by a disease. This disease will try to jump. Now here's the deal. It will affect one plant, it will jump to another. Here's the deal. This network will come into action. The plant in dying of its wish literally will release a chemical signature. It's like, bro, me attack. This is the signature. Other plants around it will figure it out that, our brother is going poof, and they will literally turbocharge their defense system. And this network will drain all the, basically think in this way. Every plant has a certain, basically, chamber. In that chamber, they have a chemicals. That is their toolkit. Now, on its own, it's not that powerful, but if you have mycelium network, now every chamber, basically it's a battlefront movement. They can cauterize that area. Like, it has been noticed, it freaks people out. It's like, wait a minute, you had this plant, and this plant was injured, all other plants change their behavior to cauterize that. That's how forest keeps itself alive. That's why you never hear about like one disease happened and the forest went poof. Of course, defense is just defense. It does not guarantee it will always hold it, but this is the reason why nature can survive for millions and billions of years. Like, this ecosystem is the reason why plants can handle itself. They are like, I got you back. Like, I have a whole reservoir to take care of it. And every year when this builds up and we do not destroy it, it goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And benefit of that, the cache, basically the weapons cache, becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. So that soil can just keep providing for people. So it's one of those things. Cover crops, no-till helps it. And be mindful, the researchers that are doing this, they are freaking out. It's like, how awesome this thing is. And we just, fungus equals bad, boom. It's like, we boomed the wrong thing, man. It's like giving antibiotics without thinking about the consequence. So this is what we are aiming for. Once we have this, things will change. And be mindful, farmers are already reaching this. They start to see this sort of effect in year 3 of actually doing this cover crops and all that. By year 5, it's like done. Like year 5, they are reaching a point where their expenditure on basically preventative measurements and fertilizers goes down drastically. Once this network is completely satisfied, built, and it's recycling all the cover crops, then it's like, bro, I got this. I got this. All it needs at that point in time is solar energy. And thankfully, that's free. So what would be the effect of using these 3 tools, basically, and aiming for getting a healthy soil? What will be the effect of it? The knock-on effect is directly reduction of land use, meaning we no longer need to remaining basically farmlands, remaining forests, so to say. That's awesome. Now you're like, why the heck it will go down? First, yield will go up. Second, our population is collapsing. Now, like, no, population is not. Again, anybody who says population is not collapsing does not know how to read population pyramid. Here's the quick summary. Pyramid like this, population growth. Pyramid like this, stable. Pyramid like this, collapsing. There is 150 country that is in collapsing stage. Of course, variation is like different. Speed is different. For example, the fastest collapsing population is South Korea. That's fastest. Second fastest is Japan. Third is like China. Like this sort of thing. Of course, you can do the math, but look at the population pyramids. That's why land use will go down. Now, that itself is not that big of a deal. But here's the interesting part. It is a carbon soak, meaning healthy soil is black. Where is that black coming from? It's carbon. Like, where is that carbon coming from? From atmosphere. Now, have you ever wondered how the heck we have coal, quote unquote, seams? Some biomatter has to go there. How the heck the biomatter went there like such a thick? It was organic life that was doing it year over year, century over century. If we start to do this again, like every farmer's really is like, okay, we're gonna take care of it. We're not gonna poof it. Brick by brick, start to do this. Year one, you will barely have carbon content that is 15%. Barely. Then it's like, 16%, 20%, 35%. Where is that carbon coming from? Atmosphere basically is the perfect free carbon sequestration. So, and it's a long-term thing. That's how nature stored it. It's a long-term thing. And this also has secondary benefit, because when I talked about like a water recharging and all that, it may have felt like, dude, this will not be able to solve all the problems. Yes, this will be the last resort, so to say. Not last resort, as in like the final nail in the coffin. Because of the surface area of our farming lands, if they become water rich, as in they can absorb water rather than having flash flooding, which happens if you have a good root structure, good mycelium matter, it goes deep. Rather than just flowing on top of it, it goes very deep. So once you have that, where does that water go? Underwater reservoir, which starts to fill up. So fundamentally, and that's the another reason why water consumption goes down when you start to do these sort of healthy operations, so to say. And reduction in use of manufacturing of pesticide and fertilizer over time. What does that mean? That simply means these puppies, rather than needing, let's say for India, you need 500 of these, it will only need 50. It will not go to zero, and you may not even want it to zero. You always want some buffer. So, okay, that's awesome. But here's the reduction of 450. That's awesome. And this mindset, I've seen many scientists and engineers talking about, who are looking from a technical point of view. It's like, no, we need artificial fertilizer and all that. It's like, no, we just forgot what kept soil alive. Basically, we are focusing on crops. We're supposed to focus on soil. Soil is supposed to be our core investment, so to say. Crops supposed to be the byproduct. Like, think about it. It's like how much biomatter per cubic meter is there in our farmlands versus, forest. And forest has more diversity. It has more open impact effects of everything. It even has fire, and somehow nature is like, I got this. Why? Because it's almost like an iceberg. The bottom of the soil is the core part. The mycelium tract is the core part. So if fire happens, from its point of view, it's like, collect some potassium, bro. Not even joking. Potash, so to say. So again, nature knows how to take care of itself. That's how it evolved. We just have to let it do its job, not interfere in it. Of course, it will reduce our yield on year 1, but year 2, it will start to come back to normal. Year 3, it will be like, good. Year 5, really good. Year 10, we got this. Year 10, this will be like, the company owners will be like, hey, we are not selling as many fertilizer as we were. That's the whole point. And one of the final benefit of this, once we really start to do this on a larger scale, is that better nourishment. Now, many people recently noticed that our food no longer is healthy. Remove the toxin part, it's just no longer healthy, meaning it does not have nutrition it needs to have. It's supposed to have, like, you can be like, doctor would be like, hey, if you eat 10 tomatoes per month, let's say, you will be good. You could be eating 20, outcome still would be 0. Like, your body is not getting nutrition. Why? Nutrition density is abhorrently low, like freakishly low. Why? Because we are no longer growing crops, we are doing hydroponics with extra steps. In hydroponics, you have to give every single mineral that plants will have. Soil is supposed to take care of that. Soil is supposed to balance it out. We no longer have that. That's why our crops, even though a tomato looks like a tomato, it no longer has the nutritional density that we used to have. And this affects the whole bottom of the food chain. Now, if the food chain is broken, we are broken also. So this would be the long-term effect. And what I'm talking about is, this is critical aspect. It is done everywhere in the world. India, whatever have you, even Bangladesh, whatever have you, it has been done. I can guarantee that. Look around you, I can guarantee you will find it. We just have to deploy it on larger scale. Unfortunately, one of my friends say that brain power is more expensive than horsepower. So the fact that farmers have to rethink how they are doing things is very difficult. Even though, like, and all the farmers that have done it successfully, majority of them had one dangerous thing in common. They all went poof, as in bankrupt, as in soil was turned to dust. Then they had no other choice, then they experimented, and then they started to recover. So that's a very hard thing to learn, but I do understand human psychology, so to say. This puppy is very energy efficient. Consequence, once it makes the neural path, it does not like to break it down. So it's a difficult but doable, and long-term benefit is awesome, including carbon dioxide reduction and our health getting better and not having industry. So this was my presentation on how do we gonna take care of global warming while taking care of the food. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.